Okay guys, welcome back. Now hold on to your hats because we're going to cover an awful lot of ground in this lecture. Now what we're going to do appears to be fairly straightforward. What we're going to work in here is this particular area, and we can see that we have 4 text boxes or 4 cells that just have text in them. So we can see in the first cell that it says, I declare that the above expenses are a true reflection of my expenses for week ending, and then the date. Now obviously all of this text needs to remain constant, but this last bit of text, the date, needs to change each time for each week that we do this. And again, if we have a look at the second line, we can see during this week I travelled a total of, now that will be constant, 60 miles. That's going to change depending on the week we're in, for which I have claimed will be constant, and £24. So the value that we're going to be claiming will also change depending on the number of miles. Based on my time away from home, I am claiming that will be constant. £25 will be a variable because that may change. So my total claim for this week is, and that will be constant, and then £49 will change. So what we need to do is build a formula that will actually populate this, but change the things that are going to change as they go through to stop you having to go in and edit the text every time. Okay, so let's have a look at how we do that simply. We can see here that we have a total of 60 miles. Now, I think let me just change that back for a second. I think we were traveling 100 miles there, weren't we? Let's change that back to 6. Expenses. There we go, 60 miles. So I traveled a total of 60 miles, and 60 miles is reading from here. Now we've got a couple of ways of doing this, but what we're going to do, just for simplicity's sake, is demonstrate how we can turn that from 60 to say 60 miles. So let's have a look at building a simple formula to do just that. So we have our formula that says equals sum of D31 through J31. If we hit F2, we can see that's just a straight sum on that area there. So let's just select that, and just before the word sum, we're going to add the word concatenate. Now, all concatenate does is it joins text strings together. So I've entered concatenate, open the brackets, which will enclose the arguments, and you can see here the first thing that we require is text 1. Now we're going to let this sum be text 1. So I'm just going to click to the end. I'm going to hit comma, and then I can see that the next entry is text 2. Now I do want text, so I'm going to hit the quotes. I'm going to type miles, and then I'm going to close the quotes and close the brackets. So what we've done is we said build us a formula. It's a concatenate and join that text, which is the answer 60 because it's the sum of these cells, and then add the word miles after it, and the argument's being separated by a comma. So let's hit enter. Okay, it's almost good, but we have 60 miles with no space in between. So let's just go back to the formula. Just click after the quotes and before the M and hit a space, and then hit enter. So there you go. Now our answer is 60 miles, but look what's happened. Here we can see that we now have a value. Now let me just undo what we've done already a few times. So we can see here that that now says 27 because it's looking at cell L31. But when we redo, we can see that that now fails because you cannot do a calculation on a text string. So let me just redo, get that one right. So all we're going to have to do is modify this formula. Instead of referencing cell L31, we're just going to add in the original formula that was in cell 31. Ooh, what we're doing equals sum, move over one, equals the sum of these cells just here, close brackets and enter. And there you go, we've got our mileage claim back. So instead of referencing this cell, all it's going to do is do a sum and then multiply it by 0.45, which is the 45p a mile. Okay, so far so good. So now we have the word 60 miles in there. So let's have a look at this one. So here again, we can just build a simple concatenation. So equals concatenate, open brackets, quotes, because all of this will be constant. During this week, I have travelled a total of, and I'm going to leave the space in there after the of. And I close the quotes. I'll leave 60 miles in there just so we can see what we're going to do. Hang on a sec. Let's just put a comma. Then we want a space, so comma, open quotes, space, for which I have claimed, space, close brackets, comma, and then close off the brackets. Okay, so now the two things that we have to enter are the 60 miles and the £24. So let's just leave, I'll put that in quotes for a second just so we can remember that that's what we've got to do. First we're going to have a look at the 60 miles. So let's delete the 60 miles, dump, 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 and then let's click off and then scroll up until we find where it says 60 miles, just there, and hit enter. So now we can see it says, during this week I've travelled a total of 60 miles, and 60 miles is reading directly from cell L1, fantastic, for which I have claimed £24. Now the £24 we need to change because that's going to actually now be £27, yeah. So all we need to do is reference cell L21 at the end, for which I have claimed, let's delete that now, and scroll up to a mileage claim of £27 and enter. Okay, now almost there. For now what it says is, during this week I've travelled a total of 60 miles, good, for which I have claimed 27. But if we look at this cell, it actually says 27, it says £, 27.00. So what we need to do is change the formatting on this cell here, or this last part just here where it says 27. So let's have a look at how we do that. Okay, what we need to do is edit this last part of the formula. Now what we want it to display as is text. So we're going to now use the text function. So I'm just going to type in text. I'm going to open the brackets, and we can see that the value we're looking at is L21, which is exactly correct. We're going to hit comma because we now need to enter the arguments, and the arguments are encapsulated in quotes. So what we want to do is hit quotes. We want to hit the £, because it was formatted as a £, and we want it to show the number as a currency, so £, 0.00, and then we close the quotes, and then we can scudgy over to the very end and we can close the brackets and hit enter. And there you go, that now looks perfect. Now it says, during this week I've travelled a total of 60 miles, which it's read from above, for which I have claimed £27, which is also captured from above. So in here, we've now used the concatenation formula, but we've also built a custom text format. So our text actually, oops, hit escape, Alan. So our text actually displays correctly. Okay, so all we're going to do now is repeat that exercise for these other cells. So let's do that. Okay, next up, I declare that the above expenses are a true reflection of my expenses for week ending, and then the date, which it's going to be reading from up here. So again, most of the work is done. We're just going to come at the front and say equals concatenate, open brackets, open quotes. I declare the above expenses are a true reflection of my expenses for week ending. We'll leave the space at the end so the formatting's tidy. We'll hit a close quotes because that's the text string that we want, comma, and then we're going to delete the rest of it because what we want to reference this time, oops, if I scroll up, is, keep going, the date. And then I'm just going to close the quotes. Enter. So now you can see that we have almost the right answer. We have I declare the expenses, blah, 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 week ending 42216. And the reason it says 42216 is it's referenced the date as the number of days since the turn of the century 1900. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to change the text format by typing text, open brackets, I6 is the value, so we're going to come past that, we're going to type a comma, then we're going to enter our format for our text, and what we want is the DD, the day, month, and 1, 2, 3, 4, year, close the quotes, move to the end, close the brackets and hit enter. So there you go. So now I declare that the above expenses are a true reflection, blah, 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 for week ending 31st of July 2015, which is now being read from this cell. Okay, so we've done that one, and now we're going to do this one. Based on my time away from home, I am claiming £25, which it needs to read from there. And this is exactly the same thing again, equals concat-n8, open brackets, open quotes, because we're going to keep all of that text. I am claiming. We'll leave the space at the end there, close quotes, comma, delete all that, and that is the number we are claiming, and close brackets, enter. And again, we can see that we just have 25, so rather than saying £25, so we're going to change the text format by entering text. That is the value that we're evaluating, comma, now we want to tell it the formula, open quotes, pound sign 0.00, close quotes, close brackets, enter. So now we can see, based on my time away from home, I am claiming £25. Fantastic. And my total claim for the week is that number there. So my total claim from the week, hang on, equals concaten8, open brackets, open quotes, because all of this is going to be constant. Leave the space after the is, close the quotes, comma, delete that, and then we'll point to here, my total claim, close quotes, enter. And then all we need to do is tidy that 52 up by changing this to a text format. So TEXT, open brackets, L50 is our value, comma, open quotes, pound sign 0.00, close quotes, close brackets, and enter. So there you go. Now, whatever values we have populated in the date, and our mileage claim, and our number of miles, how many miles we've travelled, our total out of hours, and our total claim will all be easily and automatically built into this text string without any further need for modification. Okay, so there you go. That's how you build text strings using formulas, and how you can change some of your entries by using the text function within the concatenate. Okay, see you in the next lecture.